Good morning, everyone. It's Phil Wade from Dalton Wade Real Estate Group, and today I'm joined with Talia,
Hello.
Lisa, Rob,
Hi.
Bill,
Good morning.
Kinga. Amy's holding the phone. And we've got the special guest speaker, Kim Blue, who's gonna, help everyone, be more effective using their, using, as a company, we use Boomtown, so she's kind of the Boomtown guru, so she's gonna talk about that. But, for other folks that might be watching that aren't on the Boomtown platform, this applies for any CRM, and we're gonna talk a little bit about, kind of how to integrate some other tools out there that, even though Boomtown's awesome, but will kind of help you there as well. So with that, I'll turn it over to Kim, and she'll kind of take it away.
So, first I wanted to see if everybody has the Boomtown app.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, and it's working for you guys
Yes.
for the most part? And what about the Zillow app?
Yes.
Okay. So, and what about the MLS app for your phone?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so everybody has that, that's good. I just wanted first to tell you guys how to, when the leads come in for Zillow, the most important thing is to call them within the first 5 minutes. I mean, if you don't, they're never gonna respond. I mean, they may eventually at some point, but if you catch them within that first 5 minutes, they haven't hit the button yet to call the next person in rotation. So if you get them in the first 2 minutes, they don't get a chance to go to the next person in rotation for Zillow. They will go through all 3 people until somebody calls them back. So sometimes if you've called them in 5 or 10 minutes and they're like, oh no, I already talked to somebody, that's why. They want information, they want it like right then. So if you can get them, the best thing to do is just call, come from a customer service aspect, saw you were looking at this listing, are you looking for a 3-2? Are you only looking in this area? Okay, great. What information did you exactly need from this listing? And when can I show it to you?
And that would
Those
also,
are the things
just
that I
one quick
say.
thing, that's also true for Realtor.com.
Absolutely.
Any internet leads, it's not just Zillow, they want it now, as Kim said, and, if you're not able to give it to them now, they're on to the next person.
Yeah, exactly. And if they're not there, leave a message. I know a lot of other teachers or consultants will tell you, don't leave a message, just call them 6 times. Well, it's rude. I have gotten many people where I've called and hung up and called back and they said, no, you should have left a message. How many phone calls do you return that didn't leave a message? I mean, as an agent, most of us will call because we want to know who it was. But for the most part, a normal consumer is not going to call you back on missed call. They just assume it's a telemarketer. They don't want to talk to anybody. So leave a message, and you don't have to leave a message on every single time that you call, but at least call and leave a message on the first one. I always call right away, and then if I don't get them, I call again within 4 hours. I set them up for a to-do, call them back in 4 hours, and try again. And then I put them on for a to-do for the next day if I don't talk to them. But immediately, I set up an alert for that zip code, the bedrooms and baths to match. It's gonna be a small search, but it gets them to look. So now you got them off of Zillow, off of any else's platform, and now they're on yours. So, and then I set them up on the drip, the 14-day qualify drip, and then I shoot them a text and an email saying, hey, I left you a voicemail, hoping to get to talk to you about 123 Main Street, call me back directly at 941 blah blah blah, or go ahead and text me back at this number. And usually they'll text you back because they don't want to talk to anybody until, but if you miss not sending that text, the email, and setting them up for a drip, one way they're going to respond to you. A lot of people don't want to talk on the phone, they're not ready. So they may not have been pre-qualified, or they're nervous, they just want the information. If you can shoot them that information, especially in an email, saying, hey, I just left you a voicemail message, here's all the information about this listing. And you guys know how to do the insert listing, right? Everybody? If you don't, there's an insert listing button, you just copy and paste the MLS number, put it in there, and it'll automatically give that information over to them. And I usually follow up 6 times.
Is that through the phone, or is that including text and emails? Is that?
I'll do a
count to
text
6?
every other time, and I'll call 6 times, and I send an email. Sorry to bother you, but I just tried to call you again to get you the information. If you're not, if you're not interested in the information, just let me know. Most of the time they'll go, oh, I kind of want that information. So at some point they will either interact with you through the e-alert or text message or phone. If not, they're dead. But I usually push those to, after I've tried 6 times, I push them to archive. I never put anything to trash, especially if it's a good phone number or a good email. Never put them in your trash. Because archive, I go through once a month. And I try again. And I just set those up on to-dos for monthly. And then I put down here on the sheet, did you send out the sheet to email? Okay. Phil will get you the sheet that we're all looking at. It goes through the different voicemails, what to do, how I do my categories. You're more than welcome to do yours however you want. This just really works. I always keep track of my pendings because I follow up those weekly. That way I know I have to talk to the lender, I have to talk to the customer, because very, very often a deal will fall apart on the 3rd week. And you won't know until you're ready to schedule closing and that deal fell apart. But if you can constantly keep up with everybody throughout the week, every week, it'll save you from losing your deals. And then the closed, I always make sure that I put those pendings back to close, add the close date so that it goes into your anniversaries. And those anniversaries will pop up automatically in your to-dos. So on a yearly basis, you can call those customers and say, hey, just checking in with you. How'd you like your house? Can't believe it's been a year. And then I usually set up the really good customers on a monthly call once they close. I follow up with them monthly. Hey, is anybody in your neighborhood looking to move? You're looking for new neighbors? Anything. Because most of them have already met the neighbors now. So that's where you build your referral business, is to keep up with those closed people. But if they're not in your close, you won't ever call them again. It's just how it works. There's quite a few different platforms that offer the same pending closed follow-up CRMs, and I'll get you some of those that are really good and really cheap and free for some of the people. On the other side of the sheet, we have daily method of operations. This is my daily method of operation. I came down here from Michigan to have more fun. I've worked hard. I've worked 60, 80 hours all my life. So it's time to balance.
How many hours are you working now?
Probably 40, sometimes 60, depending on how many deals we got and what we're trying to push out. But I build a lot of fun in there, so it doesn't feel like we're working as hard. So on my days, immediately when I get up and I have to have coffee. Nobody can talk to me until then. So while I'm doing that is when I'm doing my, looking at my nows, which is in the right-hand corner. Then I write those down. I start my plan for the day. I plan 30 minutes.
The to-dos for today?
What's that?
The nows, can you explain what those are?
So the nows are people that were looking overnight and what they were looking at.
Now you have to have them set up with an e-alert for that.
You have, yeah, absolutely. Everybody needs to have an e-alert. Because the nice thing about Boomtown is if they are in your Boomtown, they cannot be in anybody else's. So immediately
Unless
get
I
them.
transfer them.
Unless he, well,
No,
and
here's the story. So basically what happens, so whoever has that lead first, it's their lead, right? But then sometimes, like if somebody else hits that, that email comes in and then the agent says, oh, I got a lead, but it didn't transfer in. And then I go, look, the other agent hasn't done anything. Then guess what? They lost that lead because, they really shouldn't be reaching out to somebody else if they feel like somebody's taking care of them.
right.
Doesn't happen, but it happens.
And if you do get a lead, from Zillow that seems to be already in the platform, you can either call Phil, or if it's with another company, you can just ask the customer, hey, is there any other email address that we can use, because it seems that you've registered with somebody else.
Well, it's just with all, wait, if it's in.
It's not.
Really?
No, it's with other, because I've had a couple that are with a Keller Williams,
Mm-hmm.
and so I've had to do it a different way.
Get them in there.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So.
We haven't heard that. I mean, it's always been when anybody's inquired and said, oh, this is why it didn't go in. It didn't go into my Boomtown, then, I put the email and I see
We
some.
found 'em.
We found, the
Yeah.
other agent,
So anything that we get hit on Zillow should automatically populate into Boomtown.
If they
Sure.
clicked, I mean, if they've called, it won't.
I'll find where they
You
are.
have to do it manually to put that one in, but if they've clicked and, so like you.
Yeah, if they clicked and you get the email or the text message
Right.
from Zillow, you get
Right.
the email from Zillow.
Well, all the Zillow stuff will still work, but
Right.
the fact that it didn't, so you, Rob, and actually Fevin are all advertising in the same zip code.
Yeah.
So there is a possibility that, someone else could have hit another person and then it won't go into you, and that would be the reason why. But just, kind of the company policy is whoever gets it last gets it, because that tells me that
They're right
the
on.
person, who got it first didn't really do what they should have done.
Okay. So I know I've had at least one that hasn't.
Yeah, just
Come
let me,
into Boomtown.
just let me know and we'll flip it.
Okay.
So in that now section, I write those people down and what the MLS number is that they were looking at. The reason for that is because now you're gonna go search for a couple of other homes in that surrounding area, and you're gonna send them an email. Hey, I saw that you were looking at this MLS, there's also these other ones. Now they know that you're actually working for them. You're not just setting them up on a drip like every other agent, and now they'll start interacting with you. So now you can say, hey, when are you available for a showing? I can get you into all three of these instead of just one. Now, they're not thinking, because I've had this happen a lot, and I don't know if you guys have, but for some reason in our area in Sarasota, everybody thinks they need to call the listing agent. If you give them 3 or 4 houses that they can look at right now, you now become their agent, even without a piece of paper. You get their commitment to stop looking on Zillow and to now use your platform.
That's a good point, because, and again, we've talked a little bit about this previously, but with Zillow, so 85% of the people are just clicking. They're not checking an agent. They're just clicking. So a lot of times they're clicking thinking it is the listing agent, and you have to be ready for why they don't want to be working with the listing agent. And I think also what Kim mentioned in terms of actually doing something for them, helping them, giving them some other ideas will cement them to you.
Right, a lot of times they've called the first Zillow person that they talk to. That Zillow person gives them the price, the bedrooms, and then they hang up. Okay, thanks. They never offered to take them out to see the listing. A lot of people are just taking the call and then letting it go. So you have an opportunity, if they come back in, to now do something for them that those other
A lot of
agents
people
didn't.
get punted around with internet leads, that there's such poor service out there, busy agents. I'll talk a little example a little bit later, but they're starving for service. They want somebody to help them, and if you can do that and maybe go, we talked last week about going a little bit extra, you'll capture them.
I did a couple of videos for some of the people who are out of state. I said, well, if I can go video this property for you, are you willing to put it, if you really like it, are you willing to put it under contract until you can get here and we'll just do it under the inspection, period. And they were like, okay. So did the video, her and her husband are considering putting the offer in. Nobody's doing that either. So those are just little things that you can do for people that nobody else is gonna do. So if they do come across something, they'll go, hey, can you go video this real quick, because we'll be ready to put an offer in. And they can put an offer in contingent on the inspection period. I usually do 15 days or 20 for those, just in case they can't get here right away. It usually works out. I write down all the calls that I need to return for the night before. I only look at my email 4 times a day, because otherwise you're reacting to fires. And most of the time, if you wait, it will resolve itself. If you react right away, it usually spurs more stuff, and then you're just reacting to everything throughout that day, and you didn't get to any of your stuff that you needed to get to. And by the end of the day, you're like, why am I even in this business?
That's really a great point. They've done studies on, you know, how people work, and people that are constantly like checking their emails, bopping, you know, checking their tech, they're much less productive, because they're like, they start, they get this, and they don't really, their productivity is significantly less, so that's great.
Then I move over to the message section. Once I take care of all the nows, I go over to the message section. Those are people that have actually either text messaged you, requested a showing, emailed you back from another email. Those are really important. You gotta get to those that first thing in the morning. So you can, obviously you can't text them back at 7:30 or whenever you get up, not till 9 at least. And try to check the area code, because I made the mistake of texting somebody at 9 a.m. and it was 6 a.m. in their time. That wasn't very nice. Most people you can apologize, but some people are picky. And then at 9 o'clock is when I start returning the calls from the night before. So I check my email first thing in the morning, I do these things, and I set my plan for the day. And it usually takes around 30 minutes at the most. And you're drinking your coffee anyway. Most people are watching the news. Don't watch the news. It's only bad. And then, so these are my weekly follow-up and service calls. Mondays are my admin day. I don't do any showings. I don't do any listing appointments. I catch up on all the paperwork from the week before, organize everything, make sure everything's in transaction desk, make sure everything's with the title company, the lender, everything is where it needs to be. EMDs are solidified, everything. Just get organized for the week. Any pending deals, I make sure that the title company has everything that they need. Check them with the title company, check them with the lender, make sure they're getting the information from the buyer. Because that's usually the slowest process and what can kill your deal, is the lender not getting the buyer's information. Even as the listing agent, I make sure I call the buyer's agent and say, hey, does your buyer get everything into the lender? This. Because sometimes they don't. They wait till closing day and they think magically this check's gonna show up, and it doesn't always show up. I do my Facebook posts on Mondays, follow up on the status of offers, and then 2 hours of prospecting time. I always do 2 hours prospecting time, but my Boomtown never, there is always a to-do. So if you look at your dashboard and you go down your to-dos and it says none, you always need, this is what I do on Monday, I always make sure there's a to-do somewhere. And I try not to do more than 10. So if you do them in blocks of 10 per day, like throughout the week, you can usually get them all done in that week. And I always try to go to the pool or the beach. We go for a bike ride. We go tour some houses for fun. We've started touring in our zip code. So Phil got us, my partner and I have 2 different zip codes. We decided on 2 different ones. So in my zip code, we try to hit 2 houses, and in his zip code, we try to hit 2 houses. So we know what's on the market, especially what came on the market the night before. If you can get into that house, you know, within that week, that's where your Zillow leads are calling from. So if you've already seen it, you can pretend to be the listing agent. It's a little easier to pretend to be the listing agent. So if you know you're not doing any actual business on Mondays, and you don't show homes on Monday, those are your days that you can go have fun, go to lunch, tour a couple of houses. It breaks up your week. Tuesday, 2 hours prospecting time, 2 to 4 hours I block for when I'm going to show houses or take listing appointments. So So my afternoons, usually from 12 to 4, is when I'm doing my showings or listing appointments. Or if I have to, I won't do 12 to 4 if I know that my showings have to be later. So that 12 to 4 becomes fun time. And you just move it to 4 to 7. 2 hours follow-up, and then again, fun time. If you don't have 2 hours worth of follow-up, because if you do this on a regular basis with your Boomtown, it's not gonna take you 2 hours a day to prospect. It just isn't. It'll be about an hour, if that. You'll get into the habit of it, and it'll go really fast. Like yesterday, it only took me an hour. I blew through 36 leads. So, you know, you call, you don't get an answer. If you haven't left a message, leave a message. If you call, you get somebody, you talk to them real quick, see what they're looking for, see if you can tweak their alerts, you know, find them a house, and you're just following up with them, keeping them in the loop, because nobody else is going to follow up with them. Most people will call somebody once. If they don't want to go out and see the house that day, they're done with them. So if you do one little extra thing, even if it's follow up once a week, hey, when you coming in? Anything, it helps.
I can't tell you how important that is. It's you would be shocked. I mean, I have a fellow agent, so he gets a lot of leads, and he does phenomenal business. But his strategy, because he's so busy, has been he calls, just like Kim says, he calls. If he gets them out, he's got a great shot, and he gets a lot of people out because I think he did 30,000 in commissions in May, so he's definitely doing well. But he's got 600 leads in there, right? So basically, we said, okay, let's try something different. So yesterday, I went through his 60 most recent leads that he had done really nothing with, other than make that initial couple of calls to see, okay, it's unbelievable what happened. So I set them all up with alerts. I texted them, because I can text as him through his account, and I emailed them. 6 people responded back positive. He's got 3 additional showings this weekend because of that. So, and again, I mean, it didn't take any amount of time to really do it, and I was, because he's got so many, and I kind of like to, clock myself, so I can do them, I could process the text, the email, and set them up in alert on 2.5 minutes per lead.
Mm-hmm.
So, so I did 60 leads, so that took me, 2.5 hours, 3 new clients, and possibly 3 more. So that's, there's money there. It's just, you gotta
2
think.
hours a day.
So you can either do it like that, or if you're not doing it, then I'm gonna do it for you. And we're fixing this, so. I don't have to do it for Kim because it's all done. You look at her Boomtown, and it's like a thing of beauty. There's all the colors, the to-dos, everybody's got an alert, and you can see, from that, people use the site. I mean, that they look at those emails, and that's, and I know for the person with the 60 that I hit, we got 6 positive responses.
It's 10%
Yeah.
turnaround on Boomtown.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
a big return on your investment with Boomtown.
So what do you do with the ones that have never been to the site?
Oh, you
It'll
call
say
them.
last visit, it just says never.
Okay, you can hit,
you
I
have them
usually
set up.
call them, and then on the right-hand side, it says resend invitation.
Yeah.
You can do that, but what I usually do is I call them and I say, hey, I noticed that you never got my invitation. It may have went to your spam. I'm gonna go ahead and resend that to you so that you can get all the listings that are on the market, and it's updated every 15 minutes directly from the MLS. You're not gonna get old leads from Zillow that have been 6 months out of date.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead and give me a call back.
We were doing that the other day with Rob's, and the first initial email that was being sent out to them, like the system alert, you put in their criteria, is like, 300 properties. So do you think that's gonna be overwhelming for them, or no?
Here's the thing, the more properties you send, they're able to
Filter through.
and it gives you more of an opportunity to call them and from a customer service standpoint and say, hey, how can I narrow this down for you? Is 300 too overwhelming?
Yeah.
Or do you love to look at houses? Some people just love to look at all the houses, and if they feel like you're gonna limit it, they don't want you to do that.
Mhm.
Cause I have one lady, she changed everything, now she's got the whole state of Florida, I don't know, she's.
Well, the nevers are probably not as good of a candidate.
Yeah.
As somebody that's actually looking, opening the emails.
Right.
You know, but if it says never and they don't have an alert set up, well then that's,
Those
you
are the
know.
monthly, you know,
Yeah.
the low hanging fruit.
To do it to do,
Follow up
check with them once a
monthly.
month.
Mhm.
They don't answer, leave a
Yeah,
message.
after
Or even send, you know, again, like, because it was somebody else that I was doing this for, like I couldn't call on his behalf.
Yeah.
I just hit him like with a text and email. And it's literally, if you have those pre-written texts, it takes like, the thing that took time was actually setting up the alert for everybody. But the actual, the texting and the email was like 15 seconds.
Right.
You know, so you're just pinging them back, you know, because shooting them a text and hopefully you get a response and, you know, you get a, that's kind of
And
the
I
idea.
noticed that when you're doing that and shooting the text back or the, you know, the templates, that it will only populate if you're doing it from like your laptop or something. If you do it from your phone, it's not allowing us to change, at least with mine. It's not allowing you to say, edit address, you know, put address here. It sends it out as put address here instead of 123 Main Street.
Right.
So you've got to create a template that doesn't have to be, it's not as customized.
So and that's the other part too, is we can create our own
Yeah.
templates to have
Yeah.
them in there.
You go into marketing and
Yeah.
then there's, you know, different, but one's email template, one is text template. You click on that, and then there's company templates, agent templates, and then you can set them up private so that they're just yours.
Under the
Okay.
help on the left hand side,
Yeah.
there's, if you click on that and just type in email or templates, those videos will pop up, they're like 2 minutes.
Okay, and they'll show you how to do
It's,
everything.
yeah, it's a lot easier to watch those because it'll tell you on your phone how to make sure you pick that one. It's a little easier to
Or
watch.
call
than video.
Boomtown, they always answer,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and they just will walk you through how to do it, I mean, but it's pretty simple. Then you can just, you know, you have it, and, I mean, that's basically what I did with his account. I set up, you know, an email and a text, template, I put them private for him, and then I just banged them out. And, I mean, I was shocked,
Mhm.
literally, I mean, the only problem is, because I don't see the text coming back when I'm doing it for somebody else, I have to kind of look, but, I mean, we got 10%.
That's in the now,
Yeah.
or the message.
Right.
You can see it either way.
You know, but we did get 10%, you know, to respond, positively, so all good. So it just shows you that a lot of people, you know, you just gotta keep your face in front of them, and then, you know, cause you don't know when they're actually ready. You would've thought these people might have engaged another agent, but
Yeah.
they hadn't.
Yeah.
Or you get one like I got the other day, she's been trying to engage in an agent for 2 months. And people, nobody will call her back, or they call her one time, and so she's flying in next week. So she's like, I need to find somebody that will help me, and I said, well, I'm here. Just let me know, we'll put together a game plan so we can we maximize your time here. She's like, that's perfect. So we put a game plan together, she knows exactly where to meet me, and we're off and running. So, but 2 months. I'm like, you people are paying all this money for these leads. I mean, some people pay $70 a lead. Some people pay $150 a lead, and they just let it go. I don't know. But a lot of it is you do get busy, and you're out, you know, and you're exhausted at the end of the day after showing somebody 4 or 5 houses. Now I only show 4 or 5 at a time. I limit everything to 4 or 5. That's it. After 5, they don't remember if the house even had a toilet.
Yeah.
They really don't. So that's where, I don't know if you guys use Cloud CMA. The buyer tour, when you're done or before you go, is the best thing that you can do for them to remember the house. Because then at the end of the day you can say, okay, well, based on the buyer tour, which one of those is your A property? if you can't get A, which one's your B? Because if we make the offer on A and it's gone, we need to hurry up and do B. So we need to have your A and B. I've had some people pick A, B, and C. Because multiple offers, it's crazy. Well, you know, you were in the 8, what was it, 8?
8 offers that were
So-
telling you last week. Yeah.
But the thing was, yeah, that is true, because, and she played it right, because she didn't accept your offer until 2 days out.
Yeah, they asked for
And
highest and
waited
best.
all week,
That had no
and then
house
waited all
Sunday.
weekend for everything else to come
That's what we're
through.
doing.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, so which is,
So of course
Smart.
staying
You
in
should
touch,
use the listing agent.
showed them
Right.
other
Yeah.
properties in the neighborhood,
Not
and
for the-
of course we scheduled time now.
I
We'll go
know.
Wednesday, Thursday, you know, so we're going
I
out
know,
again.
it's you.
Well, when I was an agent up in Boston, that was like not every house, but many houses. It was listed Monday, open house Saturday, Sunday, all offers due Monday at 5.
And we modified the offer. We went up another $7,000.
Still not
And
enough.
Still, no.
Yeah. It's tough out there. Anything under like $500,000, you know, and in that 200 to 350 range is
It's
It's
priced
tough.
right.
it's tough.
Yeah,
It's just
this
more buyers.
This particular one, it was priced to sell. I mean, when I did a quick CMA on it, it came up like $10,000 more. So the buyers were comfortable with that based on the information I provided them.
Well, it's interesting, and this is a little bit off the subject, but it's not a bad strategy as a listing agent to list it a little bit low if you can get your clients to buy into it.
Yeah.
Because what ends up, you never know like how bad somebody actually wants that house, and that's what drives. I listed one again in Boston, $599, and it sold for $670, so it went up 71,000.
With like 30 offers.
Well, it wasn't quite that many, but it was 15, and then there was the escalation clause, but
We just listed one Thursday night. I thought I'd be smart. I listed it Thursday night. And immediately we started getting showing requests. And I wanted to do the open house on Sunday. So I thought we would have time. We already have offers.
well, you can tell them. I mean, if you have a couple up, you can make them wait.
We did.
Wait.
Yeah, right.
Yep, we are. And we also have, I've had 6 agents call me, hey, my clients are flying in Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and I'm like, the pictures are exactly what the house looks like. You need to come and take a video of it this weekend for your clients, or FaceTime with them, or do something, because it's gonna be gone. We already have offers. They're like, well, what do you mean FaceTime or video? Put in the offer contingent on inspection. I said, I don't know what to tell you. That's it. It's gonna be gone. It's not gonna be here for your client to buy. And they're gonna be mad when they fly in on Thursday and that house is gone. And there is no more in this neighborhood at that price.
Right.
Everything's 10,000 more.
When this one will be too.
And this one will be too.
The other thing that I noticed too is that as soon as you put your listing into MLS, you can instantly click the reverse prospect button,
Yes.
and it shows who it all got sent out to. And probably at least 80% of those agents don't have concierge mode, so they didn't even know it went to their client.
Yeah,
So, I'll pick up the phone and say, hey, I noticed
I do.
this
Right,
went out to your
yeah,
client.
yeah.
You think, it's a great house. You might want to have them come look at it, or I'm doing an open house Thursday, send them by if you can't make it, those kind of things.
I usually pick out my favorite agents first.
Yeah, yeah, kind of. Yeah. So yeah, I just put this one on.
I didn't,
11,
that's on video, that's not
11
good.
days.
That's okay, I'm in a different market.
Now we know who to refer to down there.
Yeah,
exactly.
absolutely, all day long.
Yeah, which is good.
I just got one from Mike, who's a new agent that's coming, and it's Venice. So, yeah, we did 25. I'll do 25, and I'll do 30 depending on how easy the
How
people
easy
are
it
to work
is.
with. Yeah. I mean, if it's an easy deal, it's 30% all day long.
Cool. Any other
Any
closing
questions?
thoughts? Yeah. Any questions from the
No.
group?
We have your number now. So.
Yes, we do.
Yeah. I did get a question from Boomtown.
Okay.
If you prefer Boomtown over other CRMs.
I've used many. I've used Conversion. I've used Commissions Inc. and paid mega money for all. I've used Contactually prior to using any of the lead systems. That was my way of communicating with my customers. They have a really good real estate CRM. It's very cheap. You can use that if you don't like using Boomtown or if you're not using leads. I prefer Boomtown because it's simple. It keeps everything with conversion. You could get lost in there, and I honestly would spend 8 hours a day just managing conversion. With Boomtown, you can pretty much manage Boomtown in a half an hour once you get the hang of it. If you spend the time for 2 weeks and do just this on the sheet, you'll have it down and you'll be at half an hour at a time. You'll be in and out. You'll not believe how much extra time you have in your day to do fun stuff.
Yeah, Boomtown is not, I mean, it's not an individual user platform, it's more of a kind of a team at a minimum, because it is relatively, it would be too expensive for
Yes.
someone, you know, as an individual, to do it. So it's more for a team or a brokerage, but, it's a great, I mean, I did a lot of research before, you know, purchasing it. For an individual, there is Follow Up Boss, which I've used before. That's pretty good. The only thing with that is it doesn't integrate with the MLS, so you'd have to kind of have, you know, Follow Up Boss, and then be putting your leads also into the My Matrix and sort of watching them through that.
And
to
you
see.
gotta have a website.
And you got to have a website, so that also. So Boomtown kind of, you know, does the front end, and people really like the alerts, just, you know, based on. I mean, if you have the alert set up, it's not uncommon to see, you know, 25 to 35% of your leads on the site weekly. So again, you're building your brand to them, which is, you know, but you gotta, you know, if you don't set up the alerts, you know, it's not gonna, you know, it's not gonna work as well.
If they want Boomtown, they just need to come join Dalton Wade.
There you go.
Right.
It is free to all agents, so.
A lot of brokerages around down by us charge you $100 a month to have Boomtown. So Dalton Wade does it. Not that I want to put that in red.
Any questions in Periscope land?
Yep, a question about setting up alerts for sellers.
Oh, that's a good one. So for the sellers, what I always do is I set them up just for their neighborhood. So when you go to the e-alert, you do a blank e-alert, you go to neighborhood, type in their neighborhood. If there's a phase 1, phase 2, leave that off, just do the first part of the neighborhood. Go down, pick the number of bedrooms, bathrooms, if it has a garage, leave off it if it has a pool or not, and set that alert. That way the seller knows any houses that are coming on the market and which ones went pending. And then you can keep up with them when you do your weekly follow-up with your sellers for the feedback and everything, to say, hey, because you can click on their alert and you can see which houses went without going into the MLS and checking everything. Everything's all right there for you.
Oh, that's good.
Anyone else any other questions in Periscope land?
No.
All right, well, if anyone would like, you know, Kim's been nice enough to put together a PDF handout of what we discussed today to kind of help everybody. Just, you know, email me or text me and we'll get you a copy of that. Thanks so much for watching.